job hunting is a lot like business development. And probably my $50 tip around just a very simple proof of why that is. Typically people, when they look for a job or a career switch, will spend the majority of their time applying for jobs and a minority of time meeting people. You should switch that. You should be doing 80–90% of the time meeting people and 10% of the time applying, particularly in this day and age. So that kind of business development, networking, it's all about people. So anything I talk about here that deals with relationships and getting in front of people and having meetings, business development relates to job hunting. So we got my presentation. Can everybody see that okay? Max, can you see that in the back?
Yes.
Ron, does he have control over the lighting? Do we want to turn these lights out?
Well, if we don't have any lights on, the video won't pick him up.
Okay.
I mean, it'll pick his voice up, but that's it.
So I want to start off with just, we had a brief conversation. Thank you. Conversation was really why you're here and what you want to learn, etc. So we already covered that. So this is why I do this. This is not my main business. I was in business development for tech industry for about 6 years, and I was a regional sales manager, then a trainer, and then I moved into the public sector, worked for the UN, doing fundraising, and then been on my own as a consultant for about 8 years. Half of what I do is business development, and half is client work, maybe 10% admin and things like that. But a lot of what I do is in the consultant, is business development. So that's why I can make a good living working for myself and have the max flexibility to do that. But here I wanted to talk about why a funnel. So what is a funnel? What's a sales funnel? You guys got no idea what a sales funnel is. Well, what do you think it is? Let's start with somebody who has no idea what it is, and let's work from there.
I'm guessing it's obviously it's a visualization or a term, but I'm guessing it's saying that you have a wide range of ways to collect contacts, leads, and so forth, and then you're evaluating them or screening them in some way down to ones that you're going to spend more time with, and then working on those all the way down to, I guess, the bottom of the funnel is the ones that actually deliver and purchase something from you or give you money.
You nailed it. It's that whole process of what I call marketing and sales. We're going to have an explanation of marketing and sales, but from right here until you have a new client, or you have a new donor, or you have a new job, everything happens from the wide to the narrow. It's just a high level visualization that's kind of a little more fun to look at and analyze the data that's behind that. So these are all the reasons. I'm not going to go through them, read them. If there's anything that's unclear, I'll ask that question. Is there anything here that doesn't make any sense?
Can you talk a little bit about the ratios?
Okay.
And I'm assuming that when you start, you're not going to know your ratios, but this is data that you're going to collect so that over time.
Very good question. Excellent question. I keep tripping over this. So I talk about the ratios in the presentation, but at the end of the day, if we have time, you're going to do an exercise to make an estimate of what your funnel currently is without the data.
Oh, yeah.
Then you're going to come back, you're going to go home, and you're going to fill out a table that has data in it of what you've been doing the last 3 months. And then you're going to go back and see if the data-driven funnel matches what your current funnel is. Because that's going to tell you, are you pie in the sky in terms of how realistic you are about how productive you are, or are you pretty close in terms of your gut? And then you're going to use the data-driven funnel, which will be adjusted over time. The ratios are, for every 3 marketing activities I do, and this is a marketing activity for me, I'll be honest with you. For every 3 marketing activity I do, I get 1 client. Or excuse me, I get 1 meeting. For every meeting I do in front of somebody, I get a client. So those are the ratios. So
One for one.
for every 3 marketing activities, I get 1 meeting. For every 3 meetings, I get 1 client.
3 meetings.
So it's about a 7, 8 to 1. So my client is nonprofits and associations of all sizes. All right? People are busy. People have got information coming down 100 miles an hour, and they've got all that. How do you get through the clutter? The way that I get through the clutter is if I get in front of you and I'm sitting down with you, or a phone call or a Zoom call, and you're talking about your pain and your situation, I've cut through a lot of the clutter, and I have a meeting. And from there, I know that. So my marketing work is to get meetings with people. Max probably knows that from his work. You probably know that from your IT work. Angela, you probably know that. You're not really doing anything with your marketing if you're not getting in front of people. Now, if you sell online products where it's like you're selling widgets and things like that, this is a different model. This is basically word of mouth, relationship driven business development. Once I get that meeting, then my chances of getting the sale go up from like 5% to 30, 40%. Does that answer your question for ratios?
Yes, love it.
Perfect. Any other questions? We're going to talk about, these are going to be part of my presentation. Just know that this is not super sexy work, but if you're not, what you track gets done. If you're not tracking your productivity and your work, you're at risk of doing a whole lot of busy work that doesn't give you jack. That's just I'm a data person. I'm kind of a plotter along. I'm also good with people at times, but I like to know where I stand. All right?
So a salesperson would call this activity, correct? Their activity, the
Sure.
number of dials that they make, number of outreaches they make. They know that I'm going to have to call, maybe 100 people in order to get, 10 meetings, and
Correct.
that's 10
Correct.
meetings, and then you get 3
Correct. Correct.
All right, very good.
But if you're selling, $1 billion jets, or you're selling, fancy vacations, whatever it is, you're still going through the funnel. If you're a salesperson, or you have responsibility to raise money in your program in a nonprofit, or you're an IT person, your sales manager, if they're good, it's going to be fun to find out what these numbers are. And if they're not, if your sales manager's out there not doing that, come talk to me, because we need to have a conversation. Because if they're not doing that and there's a problem, who's getting blamed? You are. That's the reality. If you have to manage up to your manager and tell him this is what we need to be doing, do that. And then he'll take his job next year. So marketing and sales, this is how I define, in this case, marketing is everything that you do, every single thing that you do that gets you the meeting. Sales kicks in at the meeting. If you're selling, in my view, and this is how I define it because it's easy, how many people from that meeting you're actually getting to a client. So marketing for me is, and I'm going to show you a bunch of marketing activities. I picked the 3 that are my favorite to do, that I find to be most productive, and I just do those well over and over and over and over and over again. And then I go back and check, are these continuing to give me meetings? Are they getting me meetings? If they're not getting me meetings, I evaluate, I push one out and bring another one in. Because IT and technology and online, the market today is changing so quickly. And it's changing so quickly, which our IT friends can tell us about. But I'll give you an example. I'm probably going to be quickly moving into more of like an online email drip campaign to get people funneled in to talking to me and be more aggressive with that than I would have been 5 years ago, just because people are so distracted. That's the way, that's an efficient way to get leads. So I pick the top 3, and then I make sure that if I'm getting the meeting, how well am I qualifying folks to submit proposals and then close. Is this making sense? Sorry, I have an Apple, so it gets messed up when it goes to the PC. And people will have these slides after, right?
If you provide them,
if you email me, I will provide this to you. My brochure and my business card are out there. I'll send this PowerPoint to you. So these are all the things that I do in marketing. These are all, I've done all these at one point, but I don't do all these all the time. I do one-on-one meetings. I speak. I do workshops like this, and then I lead networking groups. So, talking to you here is great, but I'll probably have a real deeper conversation with maybe one or two of you where we align in terms of the way we think and the way we do business, and we'll have a phone call. Then maybe a year from now, I'll be like, hey, call Derry. He does strategic planning facilitation. I got a friend that's an ED in an association called Derry. So that's how I work. So these are all the things I do.
You call it second level referrals.
So if I meet with Angela on a phone call, that's just a follow-up to this. But if she refers me to somebody that's at a nonprofit or association, or Ron calls me about getting help with fundraising, and we talk, that's a meeting. So all this stuff, she's considered a referral partner. Everybody here is pretty much a referral partner unless you're a decision maker for a nonprofit or a business. 40 plus might be probably a prospect if you guys want to have fundraising. So I don't mess around with trying to count her as a real meeting. It's a real meeting if it's a prospect that's ready to make a buying decision within the next 6 months. And I'm cool if people aren't. I have conversations all day long with referral partners and prospects that are nonprofits that aren't going to be buying from me. And that's probably the biggest mistake I think people make is when they go to networking events and when they talk to people, they're thinking about what they can get. If you're selling the product too early, you're turning people off. Give. Help people out. Give them something of value. Build rapport. Build trust. Provide something unique. Stand out in the crowd. Worry about the sales later. The sales stuff will start to appear, but just start helping people. All right, so what's your name?
My name is David McDonald.
David, welcome.
Thank you.
And are you here for career development, job search reasons, or business development reasons, or both?
Both.
Tell us about yourself a little bit.
I am currently the program manager of a nonprofit that works with returned citizens. We help develop programs, I do case management, and I do funding searches for them. We had a huge marketing event gala in March, and we're planning something else in December to do some fundraising. So it's about chasing the dollars. It's about getting more donors. It's about looking for more money to expand the programs.
Great. Well, I'm doing good work, it sounds like.
I'm striving. It's tough. It's a tough market. There's a lot of competition, but there's a tremendous need. Even though there's competition, there's still room for more to do more.
There is. This is about business development. It relates to job searching and doing business development, having a funnel of activity for if you're a business owner or a consultant, but also fundraising. This doesn't hit much on the technique specifics of fundraising, but if you want to talk after, I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Certainly.
Excellent. Welcome. So these are all the marketing activities. So we're going to ask you to pick some from here when we do an exercise. So this is my funnel. This was about maybe a year ago. So now what do you count as a marketing activity? Well, if you're throwing out a blog or if you're throwing out a LinkedIn update every day, or you've got an email going out every day, and after the week you don't count 7 marketing activities. I would. You have to figure out yourself how you consistently tracking it. But I had 75 phone calls, meetings, one-on-one, networking events, speaking engagements. If I sent out an article on LinkedIn where eyeballs are looking at it, I count that as an event. So I did 75 of those, and then I got 25 meetings. Were they from those 75 people? I don't know. They might have been. They probably 30 of them were. The point is that this activity is out there in the world, and it's developing. I'm getting in front of people, and I'm getting meetings from it. the more active I am in getting in front of folks, I find that the meetings come, and that's the rate, 3 to 1. And then proposals were 18. I mean, there's people I know that close 99% of the proposals they submit. People say, well, why are you submitting so many proposals and getting only a third? I don't know. I like the way I do it. It doesn't take me long to put together a proposal. Sometimes a proposal, frankly, it's really more of giving them an idea of what I cost in case they want to use me at a later time, and they're probably not as qualified and ready as I thought they would be. And I use it as a thing. Maybe I should take some of those out. But right now, it's for every meeting I get 25 meetings, got me 7 clients. So each client is between 8 and 12K. It's probably a little bit optimistic. It's probably more like 6 to 8, 6 to 10K. But that's not small change for a client. So I might work with somebody for 12 months and they pay me $1,000 a month to help with grant writing. And I have a grant writer and I manage the project. Or be executive coaching, where they might be paying me $500 a month for 2 calls and unlimited email support as an ED. Or I might be doing a strategic plan for an association where it's a 3-month project, it's $11,000. So that's a little idea of how my pricing structure is and where those dollars come from. Questions about the funnel? This is a high-level view, which I'll show you what's behind these numbers in a second. So what's your impression of this? What's coming up for you as I put that up there, as it applies to you?
Going back to your original statement, you talked about you were going to give us this little project to work on, and I already know that. I'm not doing enough of the front of the funnel that I need to be doing in order to generate visibility, potentially connect with the right people, or connect with the people who connect me to the right people.
Right.
I know I'm not doing enough of that.
Well, thank you for that, because one of the big benefits is that it shines a light on where you're weak, where you're being lazy, and if you know where the problem is, you can solve it. So this is about identifying problems instead of running around frustrated. What else?
Well, I actually think your 3 to 1 from your marketing to your prospect meeting is actually pretty good. So it means that you have really honed in your marketing activities some kind of way. You're at your market.
Right.
Because a lot of people run around and they just do everything, and they don't end up with anything like that. They might double your activity, but they won't get 25.
Good point, thank you.
Prospects.
I mean, I'm one person. I've got 2 kids. I've got a 10 and a 13-year-old at home. I just pick them up. Well, I pick them up on the bus at 3:45. I take a decent amount of vacation. I only have so much time in the day, so I have to laser focus what I'm doing. I even talked to Fred today. I said, if you don't have people coming in today, we're going to reschedule this. But you all showed up. Thank you. So you really have to focus. And I spun my wheels some. It's been my 8th year, but I've kind of honed it in. I'd say 90% of my clients come from former clients and former clients. The biggie is nonprofit staff of former clients that went to another nonprofit because they know my work, and that's a biggie. And then I would say a third is referral partners.
No, I was just going to make an analogy of your chart up there. In terms of recruiting, I was an employment manager. We'd go to job fairs, talk to 75 to 100 people, maybe bring in for interviews 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Make about 5 to 10 offers possibly. My rate of acceptance was generally 3 to 5 people.
Yeah.
So the point is, a lot of activity to get,
Yes.
the ultimate goal of hiring 3 to 5 people. So,
Well, and what, Tom, you're not saying, because you're humble, is that you also had the art of recruiting. So you ever hear art and science? Art and science?
Right.
This is the science. This is the numbers. And then the art is being able to see a good employee in the interview and read between the lines, where your colleagues don't see it and you see it? What can you see in your potential client or your potential donor that your competition can't see? So yeah, if you do all kinds of work and you don't have the art and the knowledge of how the techniques of sales work, go out and get skilled in it. Read Spin Selling. That's a book. I've got other books that I could recommend. That's a good one because it's a situation problem. I can't remember the I, and then the payoff is the N. What's I is what's at stake. I can't remember the word for it, but it's a very easy model when you're in front of somebody to walk them through a formula. Thank you, Tom. Yeah.
Derry, what I like about this is it lets the person break the process into different components so they can measure their effectiveness at each level.
That's exactly right.
And
That's
so,
exactly right.
yes, that's what I like about it.
This is one of the reason why it's designed like this is that it breaks down into simple steps to see where you need the help, where you need to focus. When you talk about sales and business development, I mean, it can be overwhelming about, like you were saying, like, I'm not doing enough of this. You can very quickly get overwhelmed. If you break it down and you're methodical, it's kind of fun to see little wins along the way, to see your progress. So why don't we have you create your own funnel? So you don't have the data in front of you, but whether you're doing fundraising or whether you're a business owner or whether you're looking for a job, just replace the terms. So if I'm out there looking for a job, my marketing activity is going to be all the things I'm doing to be able to get in front of people, not for interviews, but who are in staff positions or passive in the staff positions of companies where I want to work, to let them talk about themselves, talk about the job, talk about the career, talk about the business. Informational interviews, I would be doing those. I would be asking questions and letting people talk about themselves till the cows come home. Get your 25 businesses that you want to work for. I would know people at those organizations, and then when a job comes up and you're applying, A, you have inside knowledge. B, you've got an ambassador there, and there's probably CD&E benefits too that I'm not going to waste my time talking about for a second. But there's all kinds of benefits to doing informational interviews. So this is applicable for fundraising, job searching, or fundraising, job searching, or business development. If you're a fundraiser, if you ask for money, what do you get? Advice. If you ask for advice, what do you get? What do you get? Money. So if you're doing fundraising and you're out there talking to donors, potential donors, ask for their advice, get them talking. Okay? So what I'd like you to do is start off by listing what you consider to be your top 3 marketing activities. What would be your top 3 that you're going to do? Good point. If I've got 25 companies that I'm trying to get jobs for, and I'm looking to get information interviews, I am automatically going to be focusing my conversations on manager level and up, preferably C-suite, and people that work in that department, if possible, or adjacent departments, and people that have worked in that particular job. But you're going to take what you can get, because Barbara might get you. But yeah, you're not gonna just anybody at the company.
Right.
I mean, if you only have 1 contact, take it. If you've got 5 contacts, you're going to pick that highest, most relevant to your position possible.
Okay.
And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that question. It's a really good one in the tracking sheet that I have, because you can break down who those people are. Yeah.
But I'll just offer my take on the point you're making. I think it matches actually what you were getting at in your answer. So, like, if I have a conversation and it's with somebody who's like an audio post expert, audio like sound production, whiz, great person, expert, but that is a person who's going to work with me on a project. That is not a source of funding or sponsorship or anything like that. So I would not count that as a meeting for this purposes. I mean, that's a very important meeting in the actual doing the work.
Yeah.
Yes, but not conversely, whereas I might speak to somebody who is an executive at a company that they might not actually ever be working with, but I might. And, or they could connect me to people. That's absolutely a meeting.
So
for sure.
This is all good because you're thinking about the art of making your time matter. So as you use the funnel and as you write down names, you're going to begin to focus in on are these quality leads or not. And you might start off with taking meetings that aren't as relevant and then start to ratchet into people that really matter. If you don't have a funnel, you might not really know how you're doing that, but if you have a funnel, you can begin to see. And actually, if you're doing job hunting, you can have a more one-to-one relationship. Did that meeting lead to me getting the interview? Which I think is a good way to track. Anybody else have questions or want to talk about their funnel or anything?
Yes, we'll
Who had it? Was it you? Go ahead.
I was going to talk about my funnel.
Sure.
Okay. For the first part is peer support group, networking, and civic organization memberships.
Uh-huh.
That gives you exposure and access to the groups that I need to connect with.
Uh-huh.
For the funnel itself, the marketing activity, I said contacting 52 grant makers, since there's thousands of them.
Oh, that was the meeting. 52 meetings.
No, it's
52 marketing activities
52 marketing activities.
among these peer groups, member organizations, and networking.
Right.
Gotcha.
And of that, get 26 meetings.
Okay.
Of the 26 meetings, solidify submitting 15 actual proposals.
Okay.
And of those 15 proposals, idealistically getting 4 clients or, grants being funded from 4 of the original 52.
Okay. So about 10 to 1.
Basically, yes.
What do y'all think about that? So he's gonna be doing peer support groups, which I do in my field, which are great because you're helping people build their skills. Membership organizations, so people invest money to be there, so they're going to be more focused on helping each other. Networking events, gets in 52. He's going to do 52 activities here. So he might get out to one of these a week. Right. So you got your 52.
Or sometimes 2 or 3 a week, because it could be.
It ebbs and flows for sure. I had 24 of my 74 marketing activities in 1 month in May.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It can
you got to hustle and then you can lay back. So it can be mixed. Half of those are going to lead to having a one-on-one meeting. I think it's pretty realistic. If you're out there that much. And then 15 proposals. So if he gets a meeting, he's pretty sure that more than half of those are going to turn into proposals. I think that's fair. And then 4 grants. What's the average grant size that you like?
Since it's an actual very small nonprofit, right now our budget is $150,000. We're only looking, because we have donors that support on a regular basis. So we're not looking for a lot. I'm saying maybe 20,000 just to help supplement.
20,000 total?
Per.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a decent size though for a grant for a first time.
Yeah.
So you want to raise $80,000 a year.
Right.
That's a decent size.
That's not from our donors. Right now we have donors that are.
So what I know about that, based on my field, is a lot of, whether it's Geico or whether it's Pepsi or whether it's whoever it is, whether it's an event or a straight gift, a lot of times they dip a toe in the water first.
Right.
So and if you're new, they're going
Well,
to.
actually, the organization's been in existence for 10 years. From the event that we did in March, we raised 35,000.
That's good, but these are new folks.
These would be me.
And the
yes.
first time gift is going to be between 1 and 5K. If you really had it out of the park, you get a 10K gift at first. So that's probably high. But if you need to raise 80.
Mhm.
So if you need to raise 80, you probably want to adjust that. Because I think your average is going to end up being 5. And that would be pretty decent for new folks.
So if it's going to be 5, then I need to increase the number of submissions.
Yeah, you need to maybe bump this up to 75 and just try to get these ratios as good as you can. The nice thing is that once they become donors,
Right.
you can upgrade. You can renew them and upgrade the next year pretty much more easily. But if you're not only responsible for new, and you're responsible for upgrades and renewals, you might want to have this funnel that has like maybe new and then new ratios. Maybe you have 2 funnels.
Okay. So
Because
new
all-
and former.
Because you're
or
going to
current.
see your current donors and your lapsed donors and your former donors at these events.
Correct.
So they're going to pop into your funnel. But their rate, so like if you have a former and current lapsed grants, with no relationship, might be 15 to 30% chance of closing. But if it's new with no relationship, it's like 2 to 5%. So that's why your funnel's going to be different. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Sir.
Okay, my background is in accounting, so I think differently than most people maybe, but
Sorry about that.
when I look at this, and I look at, say, 40 plus, we have a budget, and we are getting multiple sources of incomes. We have our grants, we have our donors, and then we have people taking our Monday morning classes. So we actually have 3 funnels that are kind of converging into a bottom line amount of money we need to operate.
Gotcha.
Does that seem typical, or am I not thinking about it in the way that you would want me to think about it?
Today's the first time that I've linked up this funnel with fundraising, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I'm doing it because there's fundraisers in here. Because donor audiences are so different and the ratios are so different, I would have a funnel for each fundraising revenue stream. Major gifts, grants, individuals.
So that you can separate them and understand how effective you are on each funnel.
Yeah, because, corporates are going to be hanging out. Now, granted, some corporate CEOs are going to be an individual and but, the more specific and narrow you can get with this, the more you can really analyze it for your benefit.
Okay.
Yeah, that was similar to my question because I do like online work and
Yeah.
I can calculate that because you got all the tools.
Yeah.
But then I also go after speaking engagements, and that's not as automated for me. So that feels kind of different.
So for you, because I know your business, the word of mouth relationship networking type of marketing you do, I would focus the funnel on that. But your online stuff can fill into the funnel. Your online, if you get leads and then meetings, if it's a lead, it can be a marketing activity. It's a meeting, and you can funnel it in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just some of the online stuff I do is sales because it's,
You get online products and services that you sell on.
Right.
So I would keep that separate.
yeah.
What else? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just something that sort of came into when you were talking about this is by doing different funnels for different segments of your business, whether it's for nonprofit, is that you can also start to take a look at where you get more efficiency from your activities relative to the output
Right.
of it. So, for example, with the nonprofit, if you're looking at, grants versus major gifts or whatever, and I don't know anything about nonprofits, but you can see that, okay, when I do these activities, I get more output, and then you
Right.
can actually start to recalibrate in terms of how do you get the most
Yes.
money out of the overall mix of different things that you're doing.
Yes, no, it's a good point.
Or would
Really-
you
really
say
helps
per
focus.
unit of time? Is that how you, as an entrepreneur, look at what's my return per unit of time? Because, time is money, right? You're starting in your activities. You want to do those activities that are going to lead, help your numbers throughout the funnel.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't break down my time by activity. Take care. I don't break down my time, but I do track my hours, I track my client work, but not my marketing activity. But it's a good idea.
And, the other piece related to that is that you may have to find, this is my old marketing stuff actually coming back to me, that in order for you to grow your business, you may have to put more work behind slightly less efficient marketing activities in order to, because you may find that you're getting to a place where, okay, I've been doing the same thing and I can get my business here, but if I want to grow my business, I may have to put some time behind things that maybe are not as cost effective, but may get me to that next level, that next client, and things like
Correct.
that. So you have to also think, that's why I was trying to think about it more from a holistic
Yeah.
perspective, so that you can understand
Right.
where your efforts are and what they're going to get you on an aggregated
Yes.
basis.
No, you're exactly right. I've invested time in my website and my email campaigning, which I don't really track in here for that reason, because I want to get in front of more people and have leads be more kind of passive leads coming in. Because as one person, you can only do so much.
You just mentioned email. Is that effective in marketing? Because I know when I get emails that I don't recognize, I delete them. So I'm like, is it really effective in sending out emails to all these, using,
Yes, with an asterisk. I'm not an email marketing professional.
uh-huh.
It is effective, but you need to go through and do the research and the testing and the relevancy stuff to your business, and then track the results to see if it's really effective for you. But yeah, email appeals,
Yeah.
email marketing is actually a gold standard for folks like us, because people trust their email accounts. If I'm talking to you and you need my product and I've done my research and it's relevant, you're more likely to read it. Most people are not doing it right, and that's what we look at ads like, that's not relevant to me. But if you're doing it right, email marketing can be effective.
Okay.
So, what do I do? So, what I'm going to ask you to do from after this workshop is start to track in Word or Excel the activity you've done, whether it's a job search, whether it's your company, business, or whatever. Start tracking that and update that tracking sheet so you can have an accurate funnel and see where you're at. So you've got a funnel for starters. Start to fill out a tracking sheet, which I'm going to show you how to do. Write down the funnel, see how it looks, compare the funnel from the data and the funnel from today and say, oh, is it close or is it off? Create a single funnel that you like and that's realistic goals. And that's what you're going to do next. So I've got a Word document that's like a table format. And anybody who wants this PowerPoint presentation, email me. You can write your name on the sign-up form that's in the back row. I'm happy to send this to you. But this gets to your question about the kind of how you're tracking the type of people you're meeting. I have organization, when I received it, if it's a prospect, the budget, the source of the lead, type of project, type of contact, forecast. I track all that stuff. So you can track what you want, but I wouldn't put like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I wouldn't have more than like 10 columns, that becomes unwieldy, but pick the most relevant information. And as you add these up, you're going to see actually what your sales funnel is, because all this information translates at a high level to the funnel. So this all that data I have in there, I can, like, if I have a meeting with a prospect and it turns into a proposal, I bold it. And then if it turns into a one client, on my end I have one. So I can very quickly see the meetings by the number of rows, the proposals by the number of bold, and then the one column, and I can quickly update my funnel every month. So leaving here, try to go back 3 months, make that second funnel, compare them, refine your data. If you find you want to talk about this a little bit one-on-one, I do some executive coaching, I do some small business coaching, as a thing, but it's not my main primary business, but I do enjoy it. Happy to talk to you, to help you along, complimentary. Gets my name out there. I wanted to get a sense for, was this valuable? Do you find it, are you going to do it?
Yes. It's very valuable, actually. I mean, in addition to the nonprofit that I work with, my wife and I are in the process of starting a for-profit, so it's totally separate. So this definitely gets the juices flowing on what we need to do as far as marketing and contacts. And she's an eye doctor, so it's about that. Totally different industry.
That's great. You kind of helped me kind of round out this. I've been in business 8 years. I've had about 60 clients. I've been making 6 figures since my second year by myself, working with nonprofits. It's not easy to do, but I've been able to be successful. I mean, I provide a good service, but a lot of it has been my ability to get my name out there and get in front of people that have a need. They need fundraising support. And granted, it's not hard. All nonprofits need fundraising support, and they hire consultants more and more these days. So I don't love, that's a different topic, because it's not sustainable for a nonprofit to work with a consultant. But granted, it's not easy. I pride myself on a model that works. This works.
Could you talk through how this funnel changes when, I guess, your competitor isn't another consultant, but is actually a full-time employee? So, for example, if you're a large pharmaceutical company and you need a specialist data analyst, you're not really competing with other consultants. It's just like, well, we can just hire somebody full-time for this versus pulling this consultant for 3 months.
So your staff? So I'm not getting you. I'm following the concept of it, but the question is how
does this funnel approach change when you're effectively bidding against the company hiring full-time employees as their BATNA versus another consultant as their BATNA?
Okay. Good question. How do you all think, how would you answer that question? Anybody have a response to it?
If he's bidding and full-time employee is, I didn't understand.
So the way I would answer that question is, as a consultant, there's pros and cons to that. You have the flexibility of doing other clients. Is it in your best interest to apply as an employee? Because then you would compete on that same time. So you can still do your consulting work for XYZ company, but if you like this company, which is a company, then you apply for a position, and then you go head to head with this potential employee that they're looking at. And I mean, the advantage of that is it's a great company, you have benefits, but the downside is you become their employee.
Well, that's a good point.
That's
a bit of a different question.
Right.
But we might come back to that, because, so you're a contractor currently.
No.
Correct. You're staff.
You're staff.
You're staff.
I'm staff here.
So how would you use the funnel currently?
Different. So 2 different things are going on.
2 different things.
One, which is the funnel I prepared, is for this current employer.
Got it.
what the funnel looks like, how many clients you need to close, et cetera, put that
Gotcha.
completely to one side.
Gotcha.
The question I asked is completely unrelated to
Got
the
it.
current situation. It is, if I wanted to be a consultant in the future,
Gotcha.
as a specialist,
Yeah.
in
Gotcha.
something fairly narrow,
Yeah.
you're not competing against other consultants, you're competing against the companies like, well, I can hire a full-time employee for this, or a longer-term
Oh, okay.
contractor.
It doesn't really matter who your competition is.
But I think what I hear you saying is the company will say, well, I'll just hire a full. Usually if it's something that's very niche down, it may not be something that they need all the time. You know, it may be something that's like a quarter of the time. I mean, I don't know what it is, but if it's not something that's needed full-time, they don't want to hire full-time. That's a waste of staff position.
And
Is that what you're asking?
No,
Okay,
it's
what are
fine.
you
Thank
saying?
Yeah, because I have to say, I'm not sure, but I think what's interesting about this is, this is, the way I'm hearing you is, you sound like you're talking about how do I position myself, which is an outward marketing, right? How do I market myself? How do I position myself relative to this? This exercise is an inward one. So this is how do I track my efforts? How do I determine where I put my efforts versus what do I say, which is extra. So I think that
Well, it's
this
both.
tool.
It's both. You're
is-
right. Yeah, this funnel is going to help bring to light what your situation is against your competition, which is them hiring somebody. I'm out there selling fundraising consulting, and I'm up against it all the time with the nonprofit saying we're just going to reorder our staff to do the job rather than hire you. So the funnel is the science to help you see how that data shakes out in terms of how successful you're going to be at closing business from the proposal phase. So you're probably thinking, if they want to hire me, they're going to bring me in, we're going to have a meeting, they're going to tell me about the problems, and then I'm going to provide a proposal. And what if I don't get it because they decide to hire for it? Well, is it worth me going in business for myself if I'm going to lose to a staff person every single time? Suppose. Okay. Or the only way you're going to find that is by starting out and getting the meetings, having the conversations. That's going to be one of the first questions you ask. And this is the art. This is the art of sales, which this session's not about the art of it. I can make one. Maybe we should do that next week, maybe next month. But it's about, Angela, we know you have several options to address your issues at this company. One being hiring a staff person, one being sourcing that. Okay. Tell me about, what research you've done. Tell me about a time when you hired a staff versus a consultant, how that went. Tell me about how much you use consultants in this organization. Ryan, you're getting some feedback about what this decision maker thinks about hiring staff and thinks about hiring consultants, so you can customize your services and your benefit to that concern. If you're not asking these probing questions, which is a sales topic, you're not doing your job. This funnel is going to help bring that weakness to light, and then you need to do the work.
Terry, can you point out on the funnel where this occurs? Because I think that'll help people. The qualifying of your prospects. So that
So qualifying, well, you guys can answer that. Where does it fit on the funnel?
How do you market it?
I mean,
It
most,
start there.
I think proposals.
it's going to be most critical
In meetings.
here and here
Yeah.
and here and here. You probably feel like you can get meetings to have a discussion, but you're probably worried about losing out to the staff person
Yeah.
between here and here. Am I correct?
So what you say?
Sure. So it's going to be in here, what's mostly that is.
But I think the way you describe what you do, I mean, you've really honed in on your market.
Right.
So there is if you're going to meetings where they're all nonprofit organizations,
Right.
mid-sized, so that they have budget, who do
Right.
whatever kind of stuff,
Right.
where they're going to need
Right.
something like you. However they do that,
Right.
you've already began to
Yeah.
qualify. Then you don't know how many
That's
of
right.
them
That's right.
actually, have this great
Right.
consultant already,
Right.
or they
Right.
got great staff. You don't know that piece.
True.
Until you talk to them.
Yeah.
And then you find out that piece. But
Yeah.
even with your marketing activities, I think one of my issues around the marketing activities is I do like a lot of social media marketing, because for my market is people 45 plus.
Gotcha.
So I
You can do
know,
the demographic.
yeah, I know that I can find a lot of these folks who are interested in self-employment on Facebook, and I know LinkedIn. So,
What's your rate of getting them from visiting your site to having a conversation?
right.
That's the trick.
But I think I've been doing too much spray.
Probably,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's pretty much the intuitive thing to do when you start off a business. You really want to focus. So, yes, I'm gonna.
I think I was just going to add on to
Sure.
your comment. I think you're probably in more of a positive position than you think, especially if you are niche, because there's just difficulty probably finding people with that specialty. So it is up to you, once you have the meeting, to ask the questions, pray, figure out how you can best help the client customize your offerings to what they have need of. And then it actually might help you to pivot a little bit too, because at some point you might start to train, if that's an interest of yours. It can offer some branches to your business that you may not think about right now.
I just wanted to add a practical point to his
Sure.
question. In government contracting, which I kind of think you're talking about to some degree.
No.
No?
So completely separate.
Okay, you want
So-
out of government contracting.
So right now,
Yeah.
Or I don't think he's consultant in, 5 or 10 years from now, just like he's a reformed IT person.
Right.
It might be interesting
Okay.
to work on my own.
Yeah, okay, no, but it's a comment I was going to make. In government contracting, when I was staffing contracts with companies I work with, the government would mandate certain positions had to be full-time staff, not contractors. Okay, so again, knowing what positions companies are, might have available, where they would use contractors rather than, permanent staff. That's an important part. I mean, this whole thing. I was a headhunter in Silicon Valley in the early 80s, and I'll tell you, I just learned a lot every day. It's all a matter of listening to find out what people are talking about and what they want and how to satisfy, what it is their needs are. So all of this is, it's a format, but understanding how to hear what people are saying is the most important part of the conversation.
Where can you find that information you were talking about, what they're looking for, full-time employees versus a...
You ask the company,
The company
because it would be,
itself.
the human resources department would know, what people they have to hire for what positions, and whether or not they would hire a contractor. I mean, I have that situation happen often, that contractors would ask me, can I, apply for this position as a 1099? And the answer, in some cases, most cases actually, would be no. I have to hire a full-time permanent staff. So, that's just
Thank you, Tom.
an opposite.
So we're a couple minutes past 11:30. You guys had some very good questions. You participated. I can see in your eyes you're gonna take some steps that are gonna help your business or your job search. Really appreciate you coming here today rather than doing something else. And John and 40 Plus, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.